Shortened SportsMax zone on this fantastic Friday, and we start with football. The CONCACAF Nations League continued on Thursday with 6 matches, 2 of which were quarterfinal first legs of League A, which both ended 1-0 for the visiting teams. Jose Fajardo's 66th-minute penalty was enough to give Panama the win against Costa Rica inside their national stadium, while the Reggae Boys were beaten by the USA courtesy of a 5th-minute strike from Ricardo Pepi. Demarai Gray's chance to bring Jamaica level was unsuccessful, missing a penalty in the 14th minute. The Reggae Boys went on to end the match with 10 men as Mason Holgate was sent off in the 86th minute. 2 of the 4 play-in fixtures for spots in the Gold Cup prelims were also contested. Those matches both ended 2-1 in favour of the home teams. Carlos Bernardes with a 6th to 7th minute penalty and Eugene Martinez in the 75th minute were the scorers for Belize in their win against French Guiana, who salvaged a consolation goal through Thomas Torbich in stoppage time. Meanwhile, St. Kitts and Nevis won their meeting with Cuba through strikes from Romain Sawyers, and that was in the 8th minute, and Andre Burley scoring in the 48th. The Cubans, who finished with 10 men, got their goal from Luis Paradela in the 40th minute. Now, in the other results, St. Vincent and the Grenadines were 2-1 winners over Montserrat. Their captain Cornelius Stewart among the scorers there, while El Salvador beat 10-man Bonaire by 1-0. Both were Group A League B matches. And joining us on set to discuss the results for Jamaica and St. Kitts and Nevis is our Kittitian journalist, Andre Huey. Welcome, Andre, to Jamaica. Great having you here. You've been in Jamaica several times, so you're no stranger to these shores. Well, let's start with the St. Kitts and Nevis result. Cuba, traditionally one of the stronger teams in Caribbean Football Union football, so that would have been a pleasing result for you.
And a surprising result for a lot of people as well. I don't think a lot of football pundits outside of St. Kitts and Nevis would have even figured that St. Kitts and Nevis would have a chance to get a result against Cuba. It's a really big result, it's a huge result. Also considering that it's a home and away leg.
So it isn't finished yet.
It's not even finished yet. But of course, there's a slight advantage now for the Sugar Boys. Yeah.
Talk to us quickly about the run that St. Kitts and Nevis have had so far in the Nations League, because the performances have been reasonably consistent. Austin Digo Huggins is the coach, a former national player who played probably about 15 years for St. Kitts. I remember doing commentary with him as a player. How has his work gone over with the football public there?
I think for the most part it's quite positive. Bearing in mind that St. Kitts Nevis qualified for the Gold Cup last year for the very first time. He was the head coach then. And so this year there have been some mixed bags of results, starting with the World Cup qualifiers. I think we drew or won one and lost one, Costa Rica, and then we played against I don't quite remember the team now, but we played a home match.
Yes.
Which the Bahamas it was.
Bahamas,
and won at Warner Park.
Yeah.
So coming from the World Cup qualifiers, we went straight into the Nations League, and the results have been quite positive. In fact, up to this stage, the Sugar Boys have not lost a game. So they won 3 of their matches in the preliminary round with the League C against the BVI and the Cayman Islands. They drew the last game against Cayman, which they almost lost, but they were able to salvage a goal in the last minute. And now to get this result on top of that, I think is quite encouraging for the team.
Yeah. Well, having looked at the game last night, what was your assessment of how well St. Kitts and Nevis played? And having said that, do you think they're good enough to also get a positive result when they go to Cuba?
Well, to use the words of the coach, he can't fault them for anything. They gave it their all. I thought they pressed the Cubans a lot, especially in the first half. There were some gaps at the back, but they were able to defend those. They actually could have scored more than 2 goals. They had created a lot of opportunities in the first half, but just didn't capitalize on them. So I thought their game was very positive, especially in the first half. Their captain, Julani Archibald, who's the goalkeeper, said after the game that he was confident they would have been able to get back a second goal, because they were up 1-0 very early. Then they drew just before halftime. They allowed Cuba to score. And then he was like, they were very confident that they would have gotten a goal because they created chances but just didn't put them away. And just early in the second half, within 2 minutes, they were able to get that go-ahead goal.
Yeah, you make it sound so easy, the way, because I was at the Jamaica match yesterday. But I'm going to ask you, just, looking back at everything and how St. Kitts and Nevis football has been going, what has contributed to the overall success of this team?
A number of factors, I would say. I think from the administration standpoint, led by Atiba Harris, a former player, being a former player, he understands what players go through. And so he was able to make certain reforms. They've made some legislative reforms in their statute, in the association statute. And they've also tried to accommodate the members, the member clubs as best as possible. When it comes to the national team, there is a strategic plan in terms of getting the national team to progress and to improve. Yeah. Starting, of course, by the World Cup qualification, which I believe Atiba was on this show and would have said that actually they were ahead of schedule by that qualification. But that certainly has, sort of mobilized the team, boosted the team. It's also a combination of having the right mixture of local and overseas-based players. The players that really contributed last night significantly were the overseas-based players. Romain Sawyer scoring the goal, Andre Burley as well, both English-based players. But there is a camaraderie amongst the team between the local and it's not. And every time I would ask the players, "What's the camaraderie like?" And they were like, "It's just like these guys are with us all the time." So there is a friendly mix amongst the team, and I think that also helps with the chemistry of the team.
Yeah, that's so important, because one of the things in my interviews with some teams that have foreign players, they feel as if, they only see the foreign players for a short period of time, so there's that disconnect. So I'm happy that that's not happening in St. Kitts and Nevis, and I think it's being translated on the pitch.
On the pitch, yeah.
Yeah, so we spoke about that. I'm also interested in you, sharing with me a bit about the grassroots programs when it comes to football, because clearly y'all are doing something right and the rest of the Caribbean needs to know.
Yeah, well, very interesting question, actually. And one of the things that I think, which is going to take some time to bear the full fruit, but it's certainly moving along the right direction, and that's the TDS. St. Kitts and Nevis is one of 2 or 3 countries in the Caribbean that has the Talent Development Scheme program, which is from FIFA. And that program has begun, it started last year in earnest, and, it's bringing a lot of the younger players through the ranks. Aside from that, the SKNFA has a youth system, youth leagues, under 13, under 15, under 17, which just completed recently. And the players from there, of course, they graduate from that program and they move up the ranks. So you have the under 17 players right now. They're preparing for the World Cup the CONCACAF World Cup qualifiers, which will happen in January. And then you have the under 13 and under 15. They're also gearing themselves up to participate and to move up the ranks. In addition to that, the sports department recently resumed after COVID, the COVID break, they resumed the schools football tournament. Both the senior, the open, which is the senior category, and then you also have the under 17 and the under 15, I believe it is. So you have that system of youth football, a lot of youth football happening, right? So it just flows along the ranks, and eventually those same players move up into the national team setup.
Wow, impressive, Lance.
Yeah, your league, domestic league, ended a couple of months ago. Yeah. St. Paul's, the champions. Talk to us about the domestic league there. And I know like countries like Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, Antigua and Barbuda have a lot of non-nationals playing in their leagues. Right. How attractive is the St. Kitts and Nevis Premier League to maybe other Caribbean players playing there?
Right. Well, we don't have a lot of non-nationals in the league. What you will have, you do have a few, and you will have players who are living in St. Kitts and Nevis from other countries. Yes. And so they will just automatically integrate into the team. But what you do have, though, and I think I mentioned it when I was here last year, is the community football. The communities that the clubs represent, they are very passionate about the sport and about their club. So you will have a situation where St. Paul's, for example, I think is the best example, one of the best examples. Their community is very, very passionate. They come out to all the games, regular season games, they're there, playoffs, they're there. St. Paul's fans are just special, and they are always out there for their team. Then you look at a team like Village Superstars, with the previous champions. They too also have a very good setup. Their youth football, in fact, this season, the under 15, under 13, under 17, Village Superstars won all 3 categories.
Village?
Yeah.
Yes.
So they also have a good youth program, and they also have, fanatic fans. So they are always there. The clubs, they're amateur clubs, they're not, professional clubs, but they do try to put things in place to encourage your fans to support and to always be there. So you have teams selling replica jerseys. It's also a fundraiser for the clubs.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they sell replica jerseys. The fans wear them. They come out to the games, and they just bring that support.
Yeah, well, that's a good
It's
look.
community
Because
driven.
I like
there are a
that.
lot
Community
of
driven.
more established football territories in the region who don't have those replica jerseys as part of their.
I think almost every club
Yes.
in the Premier League at least has.
Yeah,
They
great.
have that.
All right, I'm not sure how much of the Jamaica match you would have watched last night. Jamaican fans have been buoyed by the quality of the team in recent years. So gone are the days when they play the USA and not necessarily expect to lose, but recognize that they're up against a top team and just hoping for a good result. A lot of Jamaicans now expect the Jamaica team to beat the USA, especially since this isn't the best USA team that we've seen. A little unfortunate last night that they weren't able to score. Your thoughts on how the Reggae Boys did against the USA?
It's unfortunate they didn't score. I think that the scoreline sort of didn't tell the true story. Because, of course, the Reggae Boys, after they went down that early, they began pressing the US and really put them on a
And got a penalty and didn't score.
And got a penalty and didn't score. But again, credit to the goalkeeper because he, has saved quite a few penalties as well in recent times. So, but it was a missed opportunity, and I thought that we should have gotten something out of that game. However, it's encouraging to see the way the team played, and I think the coach said after the match that while they're not satisfied with the result, they thought their performance was up to par. So we're just hoping that they can capitalize. I think that's one of the biggest challenges with Jamaica. They're getting good results away, but at home, the fans are not getting the results they want to see. So far, the 2 wins in the Nations League have been away.
Yeah.
Interesting that you just said that we didn't get the result, and you said we. So
I picked up on that. But I do that a lot, so I understand.
Yeah. Mariah, you were there. Over
Yeah.
20,000 fans. Good turnout supporting the team. What was the energy like inside the National Stadium?
It's a vibe. I mean, you know how Jamaicans are. They love to party. They always love to have a good time. So what stood out for me is the fact that the stadium was filled to capacity. I also love a good party.
That's encouraging too.
Yeah, and love a good time. And the thing is, the fans were right behind the players. So, like, you could get the sense when, they're about to score, the roar that comes in the stadium. I live for moments like that. And I got that yesterday, Lance. So I will say the fans were very supportive, good energy. But it would have been a lot better for the fans if they just got that goal to keep them happy.
Yeah.
I mean, it must be disappointing when you go in match after match, bringing out the entire family, these little kids coming out, and you can't see a goal.
Yes. Did you have a chance to get a reaction from Pochettino? Because you met him this week. This is his first competitive win as a USA national coach. So maybe it was him meeting you that gave him some good luck.
I'm starting to think that you are jealous that I met Pochettino because this is the second show in a row that he's brought it up. The last show he made me look like I wasn't even working and I was just busy taking selfies. Yesterday I saw Coach. I saw him twice. The man was working, Lance. I didn't go because I didn't want security to come for me.
No, post-match I asked if there was any interaction after the game.
No, I didn't stay for post-match.
Okay, you didn't stay for post-match.
No. Anything else? But I do have his number, I do have his contact, and I will be making notes of all your questions, and I will be asking Coach just for you.
Yeah, okay. All right. I can tell you that the CONCACAF Nations League is continuing this Friday. 2 matches have been completed, and the Guadeloupe Cayman game has been postponed, we understand, so that match won't be played. Well, certainly it's been suspended. And the match awarded to Guadeloupe. Our producer Monique is telling us that. So I'm not too sure what transpired there, but problems there in that match. So the points have been awarded. There are other matches coming up later on today. I know Barbados are putting a 4-game unbeaten run or a 4-game winning run on the line against Ghana in the first leg of their fixture. It's a play-in tie at the Wilde AstroTurf in St. Michael, Barbados, while in League A quarterfinals, Suriname hosts Canada, and Honduras will be taking on Mexico. All games will be live across SportsMax platforms, including the SportsMax app, starting immediately after the SportsMax Zone. I want to say thanks, Andre Huey, for joining us on the SportsMax Zone today. Always great to have you in Jamaica, sir.
Always great to be here.
Give our wishes from the SportsMax Zone to all the people in St. Kitts and Nevis.
Yeah, they love us,
and
you
I'm sure,
know.
oh yeah, I'm sure they're watching. So
Yes.
Yeah, I met some of them at the airport, and they couldn't miss the opportunity to tell me how much they love SportsMax. So, so I'm so happy you're here.
I'll convey.
Okay, thanks, Andre.
All right, thank
and
you.
we'll be back with more on the SportsMax Zone after this.